This is Lucas Ross Sports, Lucas Ross, your commentator, and we continue our 2022 college football predictions. The Kansas State Wildcats are up next. I'll give you an official prediction on this team, give you my thoughts on this team, and go through the schedule, and we will go from there. But before we do that, let's go back at 2021 for this Kansas State team. In 2021, the Kansas State Wildcats went 8-5 overall. Not a bad season for Kansas State. Had 8 wins last year, 5 losses, so a lot to improve on this year for this Kansas State team. The defense overall was really good. We'll get to the rankings in just a minute here. Offensively and defensively in the rankings, 76 on offense last year. This team was really good. You know, not really a good offense, let's be honest, but they have something to improve on that offense this year. And then the defensively, you look at it, top 30, top 25 defense last year. So if you're in the top 25 category, it's really good. In the top 30 category, if you're in there as well for Kansas State. So they had a really good defense last year. You know, defensively, they were so good. You look at the points per game and the opponent's points per game given up. 27.5 points on the offensive side of the ball, 27.5 points per game on the offensive side of the ball. 21 points given up on the defensive side of the ball, so not a bad defensive team last year if you just give up 21 points. And you look at the returning production percentage this year. Offensively, you know, quite a little bit coming back this year. Defensively, a little bit to improve this year, but they do have to replace a little bit on the defensive side of the ball. But this team should overall still be really good on both sides of the ball. And there's that schedule for Kansas State in 2022. You see that opening game against South Dakota. That's a game that Kansas State should take care of business in. Then there's that game against Missouri, and I know this is a game that can go either way, but we go through the South Dakota game first, and I think that's a game, though, that Kansas State will take care of business in. Kansas State will take care of business against South Dakota. And there's that game against Missouri. I know this one is a home game for Kansas State, and this is going to be an interesting matchup. You know, Missouri and Kansas State once again. Missouri used to be in the Big 12 Conference as well, so, I mean, we're seeing Missouri go back to their own conference here to take on a Big 12 team. And this is going to be an interesting matchup. Missouri, you know, is a team that, you know, has a lot of question marks on both sides of the ball, but, you know, definitely offensively. They have a lot of question marks on offense. Defensively, they bring quite a lot back. And I think that defense of Missouri does step up. I think they're a much better defense than they were last year. You know, Missouri obviously was one of the worst defenses in the country last year, let's be honest. I think, though, Missouri does step up here. And I think it's a win there for the Tigers. I think Missouri does go on the road to defeat Kansas State, but it will be a close game. It won't be a shootout. It won't be, you know, those games that maybe can go either way. It might be a defensive battle. Let's be honest. It might be a defensive battle in that game there. But Kansas State does take care of business against Tulane. I know it's Tulane and all, but, you know, Kansas State should take care of business, and they have no business in losing this game here. There's that next game on the road at Oklahoma. I know this game is another matchup that can go either way, but let's be honest, it's on the road here. Oklahoma is going to be a team that, you know, has to fill in a lot of pieces this year, especially with the coaching staff. You know, Lincoln Riley is gone now. But they do return a great defense. Let's be honest, Oklahoma returns a great defense this year. They should be one of the top defenses maybe in the Big 12 this year. I mean, you could look at it and see them, you know, being a top 12 or top, 10 defense as well in the country. But I think that defense does step up for Oklahoma, and I think they do beat Kansas State here. It will be a tough loss there for Kansas State, but, you know, it will be a game. Maybe they can give them a scare in the first half, but I think it's a defensive battle maybe as well. If Kansas State's offense can score some points this year, they can potentially win games. So, I mean, it depends on the offense if they can score some points. So, I think the offense can score some points, you know, honestly, because they do return quite a little bit coming back this year. So, I think they can score some points. Next game against Texas Tech at home, October the 1st. They get to the month of October now. Texas Tech is a team that, you know, returns quite a bit on defense, but offensively they have a lot of question marks as well. You know, the returning production percentage advantage goes to Texas Tech in this game. And I know Kansas State does have the better offense, but I think defense wins games here, and I think Texas Tech will pull off the win here. Not by a blowout, let's be honest. It will be a game that can go either way. I think it will be a game that can go either way probably, but this is a game that can go down to the wire. But it's a game that, you know, I see Texas Tech winning. I really love Texas Tech's advantage in this one, and I think they do win that game at home against Kansas State. Next game on the road at Iowa State. I know a lot of people have been saying Iowa State's not really young, but let's be honest, they're really young on the offensive side of the ball. Let's be honest, they don't really have a lot of experience coming back this year. Defensively, they don't have a lot of experience coming back. I know people have been saying that Iowa State's going to be better than people might say, but I'm just not high on this team. It's my prediction. Just to let you guys know, it's my prediction. Iowa State, not really a team that I'm high on this year. And I think Kansas State will win this one on the road at Iowa State. I think it will be a game that, is close, but maybe in the first half I think it is close, but, second half I think Kansas State will pull away. Now, Kansas State does get a bye week before playing TCU on the road. And TCU is a team that I'm really high on this year. I think this TCU team has what it takes to be a Big 12 contender. But the question is, will their offense be good as well? Their offense should be really good. They're pretty even in their returning production this year on both sides of the ball. And I think TCU will win. I think, the road here is going to be pretty tough to play at, and I think Kansas State will lose that game there. But it's a game in the first half I think can go either way. Second half I think TCU will step up. And the game, I think both of these teams will be better by when they get to the month of October. I think coming off that bye week, Kansas State will get close to beating them, but I think it won't be enough. I think TCU does win that one. Next game, Oklahoma State at home. This is a game that can go either way as well. We know Oklahoma State went to the Big 12 championship last year. Oklahoma State returns a lot on the offensive side of the ball this year. Defensively, they really are really young. Let's be honest, they have a lot to replace on the defensive side of the ball. I mean, this is a game, though, that's going to be really tough. It's a game, though, it's at home for Kansas State, and the returning production percentage advantage goes to Kansas State. I give them the win here against Oklahoma State. I know it sounds crazy and all, but I think it's a game that Kansas State will win. I know it's, sounds crazy and all, but it's my prediction. Let's be honest, it's my prediction here, and I think Kansas State will win. Next game at home against Texas. This one is an interesting matchup as well. Texas, obviously, a team that, people are expecting to be really better than they were last year. Texas, though, I really don't see Kansas State, beating them. Let's be honest. The defense overall for Kansas State, actually for Texas, is really coming back this year strongly. Offensively, quite a bit coming back as well. I don't think I see an upset here happening, but first half I think Kansas State will give them a scare, but I think Texas does win this one. Not by, maybe by 2 touchdowns. I think maybe by 1 touchdown, but I think Kansas State will come up short. Next game on the road at Baylor. Baylor's the defending Big 12 champion, and then you got West Virginia on the road, so back-to-back road games here that are really strong. Baylor, though, is a team that, I'm really high on, but not quite as high as I was on them last year as well. But Baylor obviously surprised a lot of people last year. They should be really good, like people might say as well. The question is, though, how good will their defense be? That is the question there for Baylor. I don't really see Kansas State, though, pulling off an upset here, to be honest with you guys. It will be a close one, but end of the day, though, with it being on the road, I don't really see Baylor, having any problems in this one. So I think Kansas State will lose that one, by a touchdown, maybe by 2 touchdowns, maybe 3 probably, but maybe 2 is probably the best scenario. And then there's that game on the road at West Virginia. I know it's a game that they can potentially win here, but West Virginia is a team that has a lot of question marks on the offensive side of the ball. Defensively, quite a bit coming back this year. Obviously, I don't think Kansas State will come in here, though. I think it's not going to be a game that Kansas State can win. Let's be honest. It could be a game that can win, but with it being on the road at West Virginia, I really don't see Kansas State pulling off a win and getting out there with a win on the road. It's too tough a place to play there, and I think they do miss out on a bowl game this year. And then there's that final home game against Kansas. I know Kansas returns a lot of talent from last year's team. I know people are not really high on this Kansas team, but I'm not really high on them either. Let's be honest. I only got them going with 3 wins. I think Kansas, though, does make this game really close because it's a rival game. I think Kansas is much better than people might say this year. They will have close games. This one, though, at the end of the day, though, I think Kansas State does redeem themselves, and I do think they do win their final regular season game at home against Kansas. So the overall prediction for Kansas State comes out to be 5-7. They miss out on a bowl game this year. I think the schedule, doesn't really set up nicely for them either. They have to play back-to-back road games against Baylor and West Virginia. Missouri early in the year as well. The non-conference schedule is pretty tough. So Kansas State, though, give your thoughts on this team down in the comments below. And stay tuned here for more on Lucas Ross Sports.